What's up, my friends? It's TMX once again. Today, I want to talk to you about everything MetaZoo needs to do with the next set, Secret Shadows, in order to make it the biggest hit of all of New Zoo. Now, I've made videos like this in the past. I've given out free advice to MetaZoo about what they need to do to make this a hit. There's a hair in my eye, and it's been ignored. And I understand there's certain limits about financials. They want to only spend a certain amount. They have limits like everybody else does. There's difficulties on making these things happen. But you know what else is difficult? Going through another bankruptcy. And that's something that we all want to avoid. I know it's a harsh thing to say, but we want to avoid that. Anyone with half a brain knows that going through another bankruptcy would be devastating to everything that MetaZoo has built up and everything beyond. And the likelihood of it coming back a third time is slim to none. So we don't want that. We want this to be a success. And I think this is a pivotal part of MetaZoo's process in order to get it to the next level. I've made videos like this before, and I said we really need to spice this up. Base set honestly was a letdown to a lot of people because it was missing key elements of old Zoo, and I think that it really could have been super spicy. Torrential Tides is outstanding. So it's such an increase in every level and getting us where we need to be. But if we can spice up these boxes to the level of what everything that included old Zoo and new Zoo that people love, I think that we can have another hit here. So I broke it down. I don't know how many number of items, but I, I thought about what has transpired between the first set and the second set, and let's add that. Let's increase that. Let's do the best part. Let's just the best hits of everything. And I've thought about every set and what made it great in every set. And then now, if we put this all in one set, boom, it's it should be the best bet in the longevity of the game. All right, so let's talk about base set. Base set mixed, but one of the biggest things that helped sell base set were the alt boxes. And I know the alt boxes are a hot topic, but I'm from the comic book realm, and I'll tell you this: there's comic books, they all have the alt covers to them. It's just a thing that we just accept it. But I think we're looking at this the wrong way. I think we're seeing it as though there's a regular box and an alt box. I think we should be looking at it like comic books do, and there's an A cover, B cover, C cover, and D cover. And sometimes the B cover is a 1 in 10, and sometimes the E cover is a 1 in 100. That means the store has to buy 100 copies of the A set to get one of the E set. So I think you guys are understanding just by explaining that how this would work. Maybe we have, and people, the biggest complaint about the alt boxes is that it's not one in a case, so you have to chase them, and then people buy a bunch of them, a bunch of cases, chasing the alt boxes, and then dump the other ones. Well, what if every box had something special in it? That way, you want something out of everything. I mean, and I'm skipping ahead, but there was alt boxes in Old Zoo that did really well. So what if we had an A set that had something special in it? And then you had the B box that was maybe 1 in 1 case, so maybe 1 in 12, and that had a special thing. And then maybe there's one in every 2 cases, or 3 cases, or 10 cases, and that has special stuff in it. So every box has something special, different artwork, different contents. And the contents doesn't have to be the set because that can be costly and hard to sort. It could be something that's in there, inserted in there, that's different. Let's call it, for now, just to differentiate what I'm going to talk about later, let's call it a box bottomer. So something like in the bottom of a cereal box, you have something in the bottom there, and that insert will be something special. And you can make it 1 out of 3, you can make it one of just that box, whatever you want to do. But the more you do it, the more it makes every box special. And I know Charlie said previously, well, if you put all this stuff, you're putting special things in a box and you're just making a pack. The box is a pack and it's a pack and a pack. Yes, good, because we buy packs to get a variety of things in it and we look for the hits. So if there's hits inside of a box, that's inside of the pack, that's inside of a case, that's inside of a bigger case, a hit inside of a hit inside of a hit and inside of a hit is just going to lead to more people wanting to buy it because they have more things to look forward to. That is not a knock on it. That is a positive. Yeah. uh, if you open a bag a pack of cards, and there was another pack inside the pack, and inside that pack had another pack, that would be amazing and probably would sell like hotcakes because we want to have that level of intricacy when we have hits inside card games, whatever the hobby is. So, what if we had a very varied amount of alt boxes, and not saying that there's a normal box, there's an A box, a B box, and each one has different things so people can collect on it. Maybe we call them the box bottomer, and maybe there's a certain amount of bottoms in each one. So now we took the best part of the first set. Now let's take us the best part of the second set. We have the legendary rares that we're including. So how about we add another variant, another rarity to the set to make people chase. So now a you have two 3 stars that you're looking for every box, maybe a hidden rare. Hidden rare is approximately a case. And you have the legendary rare, which is approximately every other box. And then maybe you have something that's in between there. Maybe you have something that's like every third box, or maybe you have something that's every other case. Maybe you have a super duper rare or ultra rare or whatever you want to call it, something that's a higher rarity that makes people want to open more boxes. I'll tell you what, I love torrential tides, and it's been really rewarding to me. Honestly, every box, I average one legendary rare in every box. I had one box that had two, and then one box that didn't have one, I bought 3 packs and I got myself my first hidden rare. So it's been very rewarding to me, but I don't have the inkling to go and buy another case. If I knew that the cases came, every case came with an alternate box or a B variant box and had other stuff into it, I would have bought a whole case of it right off the bat rather than buying them later on. I would have probably bought two, knowing that I would have got two and a chance to get something different, a third different one. You understand? So that sells it, is knowing that there are variants to everything, that there are a more succinct distribution of veritable cards in these. All right, so LRs would lead to something else. I think that would be great, and I think that will just tie everything together. So those are the two things that we carry on from the current set. Now let's look at the old MetaZoo and see what things helped out. When we look at Cryptid Nation, you had the fact that CN1 and CN2 had box toppers. Now we already talked about bottomers. That would be in different boxes. Every box that would be different would have a different bottomer chase. Now how about we looking at toppers? Toppers that we had previously. Now the toppers had auras, the hollow auras, and sometimes you had a hidden rare in them, and the hidden rare was either the red ink or the blue ink. Those were highly sought after. And then even when you had Nightfall, no, we're skipping ahead, but Nightfall had an option of that like ultra rare kind of thing. It was a secret rare. The secret rare had um, old scratch, so that was another chase in there. So looking at the box toppers, what if we had box toppers and maybe each set had a different box topper too, a different insert. There's already an insert on the bottom. Depending on the box, maybe there's an insert on the top that's the same for all of them, with a chase being spread across all of them. No difficulty, but again, when you put out this level of intricacy and detail in a box, is going to get more people to be involved and interested in ripping boxes. And that's what you want. You want people ripping boxes. You don't want to put anything, you want to leave anything on the table that's not unturned, because then when you're looking 5 years down the line, like, you know what, man, if I would have put an extra couple grand in this, maybe if I put a couple extra ideas in this, I really would have kicked off and moved on with MetaZoo in another level. So these things might be astronomical when you think about it at the next board meeting. But these are things, and I'm talking directly to MetaZoo. These are things that you need to be discussing, because if you did them at base set, we wouldn't even need to be having this conversation now. Back to the game. So that's Cryptic Nation had the had box toppers that had the option of ripping a secret rare. So now we're looking at Nightfall. Nightfall had the secret rare in there. We kind of talked about that with the LRs, and moving forward, that was the biggest thing in Nightfall. Nightfall didn't have anything other than You had the glow in. I'm looking at my Nightfall boxes right there. They had the glow in the dark box. Glow in the dark box. On the glow in the dark box is not something I believe is going to change someone's idea. Like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna buy it because it glows in the dark. But I know that every time I turn off my lights to leave my workstation's right here. I go up the stairs to head to bed. I turn off the lights down here, right here, and they glow and it reminds me of MetaZoo every single night. And I've been here for years. So even though that might be a weird thing, it might not be something that might sell, but it might be something that brings it closer to the heart, and that really will carry the company a lot further than just a shiny card. So that's Nightfall for you. The next set was Wilderness. Wilderness had the tickets. So I know a lot of people are talking about redemptions. They wanted to redeem maybe you get a card that has a redemption on it and you redeem that for an alternate box. I think that's a lot of work on the company because then you have to have all boxes ready. You have to verify. It's a lot of pieces. I don't think that's sustainable. I don't think it's a good idea. But I do think it'd be great to have something that is like a redeemable that you pull out and it does something different. And that doesn't necessarily have to be flushed out right now. And I don't know the resources of the company to make any kind of opinions or suggestions in that way, but it would be really cool to bring back something that was one of the most important and most famous portions of MetaZoo was the tickets. I'll just bump the microphone. There's the silver tickets, the bronze ticket, and the gold tickets, and they all had different redemptions. They all had different things that they came to, but you had to cash them in. And most people didn't do that because they thought that the ticket would be more valuable than the prize, or because of shadiness, and there was never really, it was just a ding on the carrot kind of thing. But I think introducing those kind of things that are, again, they're a secret rare type of thing, a redemption type of thing. Those are what people are asking for, so you should give the people what they're asking for. After that was UFO. Honestly, all of UFO had was the secret rares that were serialized. I know Charlie's saying I didn't want to do serialized. I think UFO is by far the worst set. It was one of the worst selling sets. It was the most overprinted set. I don't think we should be picking anything from the worst, most overprinted, most money wasting set that there was. So I'm not going to even involve that. I'm not going to say let's send foil to the moon to bring back to put on the booster box. Those were all ideas. That was bad creative. It was bad creative, honestly. Next set we had was Seance. Now, Seance kind of brought things back as far as being more closer to high level gameplay and being closer to the darkness of what Nightfall was. Nightfall was a hit because of the darkness. And I really think with the Secret Shadows set that you really need to bring back that real darkness that MetaZoo had previously. This is a chance. The Seance, the Nightfall, and Secret Shadow should all be synonymous with each other with that darkness, that poncho goodness, that creepy, that Mananigal from Torrential Tides, that times 100. Like that is a perfect card, and everyone loves that card. Let's expand that. What we do good, let's expand the things that we do good. What we don't like, let's get rid of the things we don't like. All right, so that was Seance after Seance. I'm probably missing one. Man, I don't think I. All right, so Seance, I believe, was Native. Was after that. Native had the auras that the fusion auras. My biggest take from I mean, there were secret rares too from that, but I don't think those were like a big hit. They were really hard to get, and I don't think they should be that hard to get. And even the auras are super hard to get. But what I liked about that was that it was a ton of hits. It was a ton of hits. It was very reminiscent of Cryptic Nation, where there was over 10 hits in the set that you really wanted to get, and they weren't like UFO where there was like a handful of them. And were they really hits when you can get you choose every other pack? No, they weren't. So I think Native did a really good job at giving heart to the game back again. They were all very playable cards. You had a ton of hits that you can get on there. There was secret rares that were in previously. I think a lot of those things were already talked about. So again, more of the good stuff, less of what we don't want. After that, there was Kuromi, and really there was nothing worse than Kuromi as far as what it did to the company. Let's avoid that by at all costs. All right, so that's everything. Those are a handful, a ton of things to think about. And again, I think that MetaZoo proper should consider these things and go out of their way to make these things happen if possible. Some things I know are impossible. We have deadlines, we have resources, and we have the real world to think about. But as much of these as possible will help push this next set where it needs to be in order to get in the good graces of the fans and to build new fans and just to build a company and move forward in a positive note. You can ignore this and be in the same spot as we were a year ago, and we can heed some of these things and hopefully project this. I mean, it's risky, right? You can do everything and might not change any of the perspective or the perception or the profits of the company, but you gotta try, right? You can't just imagine that it's going to be better and then it is. So yeah, these are the things that I think about when I think about how to make this the best set. I want to hear from you guys and try to be creative and positive and think about things that will make an actual difference, not just say, I won't even give you guys a suggestion, but you see it in the chats before. People can get negative. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the positive. I'm talking about moving forward. I'm talking about the future. And I'm talking about you being cool, doing good, and being nice to each other.